This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Jonathan Handel is an entertainment and technology attorney of Counsel at TroyGould in Los Angeles. He's also the contributing editor on entertainment labor issues for The Hollywood Reporter, and best of all, he's a regular here on The Buzz. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome back.
Larry, it's a pleasure to be back with you.
And a very Merry Christmas Eve to you.
Merry Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. We are devoting tonight's show to a look back at 2015, and I thought I'd ask you, what are some of the trends this year that caught your eye?
Well, there were trends both in Hollywood and nationally when it came to labor. In Hollywood, I think the biggest development really was the SAG-AFTRA elections. We saw frustration among the membership, among other reasons, because of the fact that the health plans have not yet merged. As you recall, SAG and AFTRA themselves merged back in 2012, but it's been 3 years, and the health plans as well as the pension plans are still separate. Now, those are separate organizations legally from the union, but nonetheless, people were hoping to see somewhat more progress, and it was one of the bases, not the only basis, but one of the bases on which merger was sold. So what we see now is a Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, with something of a split in the leadership between the folks who were pro-merger, the Unite for Strength faction they're called, and the folks who initially had been, or earlier were anti-merger, membership first. Where that's going to lead, we don't yet know.
Well, are you seeing this as foot dragging, or just that the two plans are so complex it's hard to merge them?
Well, it's difficult to tell. I don't think it's, I mean, the one thing we have to remember is that the board of directors for the pension and health plan is composed 50% of union representatives and 50% of management representatives. There is some possibility that what management is trying to do is make merger of the health plans a bargaining issue, so that in the next round of negotiation, which will be starting really next fall, that the union, if it wants to see those plans merged, is going to have to give up something in return. That's not really a proper thing to do if that is what's being done, because when they sit on that board, both the union members and management members are supposed to be fiduciaries or trustees representing the participants in the plan, the people that are receiving health insurance and receiving pensions or qualifying for pensions. But whether that's what's actually going on, we don't know. It is not, it is important to know, it is not wholly within the union's power to simply snap a finger and say, okay, now we're merging.
One of the other issues that I remember from our conversations early in the year was on-set safety and safety in general. Has that still developed into a hot button, or has that just sort of subsided now that nobody's getting hurt recently?
Well, sadly, it's sort of subsided now that people are still getting hurt somewhat. I mean, there was, I'm recalling that there were, I believe, some injuries or some deaths, I believe, in a helicopter crash involving a production, I think in South America just recently. You know, it's simply, unfortunately, not the case that no one gets hurt on a regular basis in our industry. It's a dangerous business at times. And I'd say that, you know, without having my finger literally on the pulse of the crew from day to day, I'd say that it has, like all things, subsided to some extent now that it's no longer, you know, right in people's, you know, in people's viewfinders, as it were. But I hope there's been some lasting effect. I'd like to believe that there has been as a result of the Slates for Sarah movement and other movements related to safety.
Your principal area of coverage is the guilds inside Hollywood. But another key trend has been flights of film out of Hollywood into other states and even other countries due to tax incentives and others. Are you seeing that trend continuing, or is it about the same, or what's your take on that?
Well, it is continuing. You know, there are always, the pieces always get shuffled a little bit. For one thing, we have seen some production return to California as a result, and Los Angeles area in particular, as a result of the California incentives that were increased finally after a lot of lobbying. We also saw North Carolina, I believe, end their incentive program. So there's been some shift, but there is an awful lot of production that goes on overseas and in other states. And in addition, there's an increase in local production being done in local languages overseas. So it's a very globalized business. And of course, when you talk about things like safety, like union coverage, union policies, things of that sort, that makes it all the more complex because of the geographically dispersed nature of the business.
That was a good point. I remember reading just a couple of weeks ago, there was an article on how Warner Brothers is developing films for local markets outside the U.S. Russia came first to mind in terms of the article. This idea of developing films for international distribution that doesn't even hit the States is relatively new, it seems to me.
Well, it's growing. I mean, there have been little bits and pieces of it for some time, I think, but it's I think finally the studios are recognizing that this is going to be a potentially significant part, at least in some territories, of their business. So it certainly is becoming more prominent. That's right.
Last question before we run out of time is crew sizes. With the miniaturization of hardware and things becoming more and more automated, are crew sizes, especially on mid-sized films, which is the majority of what Hollywood is turning out, are the crew sizes getting smaller, or are roughly the same number of people being employed?
Well, my sense is that the crew sizes didn't get smaller; the pictures got bigger, so to speak. We really are looking at we're looking at a Hollywood business that focuses a lot on tent poles, and of course, you've got enormous crew sizes there. I'm not aware of any shrinkage in significant shrinkage in crew sizes. I may not be 100% right on that. Our viewers may have some more input than I do, but I'm not aware of a huge change.
Jonathan, are there other trends that you've noticed this last year that we need to pay attention to?
Yes, the devolution of power when it comes to labor and employment relations from Congress, which has been relatively inactive, particularly with the difference in political control between Congress and, of course, the presidency, the devolution of power to state and local regulators. So you see states and cities raising the minimum wage. You see cities even, such as Seattle, trying to come up with ways to unionize part-time workers, like workers on Uber. Things that at one point in time might have been matters for Congress, but in today's world are really not being addressed federally.
For people that want to keep track of your thought and your writing, where can they go to learn more on the web?
Two places, jhandel.com and THR the Hollywood Reporter labor.com.
And the J. Handel himself, Jonathan Handel of Counsel at TroyGould and the entertainment labor reporter for the Hollywood Reporter. Jonathan, as always, it's fun visiting. And can we invite you back next week to take a look at trends to look forward to in 2016?
I'd be pleased to come back. Thank you.
We'll see you then. Jonathan, thank you so much. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.